On this episode, we head west to San Diego and the New Partners for Smart Growth Conference. Then we learn about safe routes to school in California. We talk with the vice chair of Walk San Diego. Finally, we pay tribute to a fallen bicycle advocate. Stay tuned. We're in San Diego talking with Jake McKenzie, who's a council member for the city of Roanoke Park and also co-chair of a conference that just ended. What was the conference and what's been going on?
Well, this was a conference on smart growth, building healthy, livable, walkable communities. And what's been going on for the past 3 days has been 900 to 1,000 people from all over the United States, 40 out of the 50 states, from Guam, even from Côte d'Ivoire in Africa and Northern Ireland and Canada and Australia. Everybody here engaged in a dialogue, and I think a real dialogue about what we can do as our country grows, as our states grow, as our counties and our cities grow. How can we come up with a development, a way of growing that protects our health, that gives us an opportunity to walk and bike rather than just do everything in our automobiles, and at the same time come up with something that's culturally attractive, where people really feel like walking out of their front door and walking to their grocery or the coffee shop and buying a book and meeting up with their neighbors and then being able to walk back to their house and not constantly having to think about getting in that car to do anything with their kids or with the grandparents or whatever it is.
What sort of people were at this conference?
Well, there were people like myself who are elected officials who end up making land use decisions in their communities, but there were also people from the federal and state and local government, the planners, the transportation people, but there were also public health people here from CDC, from the federal government, from state health departments. There were people here from local law enforcement agencies, because a lot of our problems in our communities stem from poorly designed communities where people feel alienated from their surroundings and from their fellow citizens. So we had a very broad spectrum of people. We also had a whole cadre of youth leaders from all over the country who were here, who were caucusing and who were sitting in on sessions and who came up with their own ideas, their own credo for how their future is going to unfold, which they hope will involve smart growth, hope it'll involve education, they hope it'll involve proximity of their place of business to where they recreate and to their homes, and which they hope will involve all of the community.
And the young people, a lot of them have grown up in some of the placeless sprawl that we lament so much. Do they understand what smart growth is?
I got the sense that they really did. In fact, they challenged us to make sure that we understood that these were concepts that they could grasp, that they have in fact been the kids that the soccer moms drove around in their vans, where the soccer mom or dad becomes the chauffeur for, as Richard Jackson said in an earlier keynote presentation, 50% or more of trips involving hauling the kids around. They're the ones who get hauled around. They're not able to get on their bike and go over to their friend Jill or Jack's house. They have to get driven, and sometimes because the design of the suburb in which they're living, the cul-de-sac, they can't just go through an alleyway. They have to go round and onto an arterial street and back into another cul-de-sac to get to their friend's house. I think they get it. I really think they get it. I thought they got it, and I thought they told us that they got it. Us who are, as one speaker said, the over 40 people, and they were delighted to be included as the under 40s, because they said, we're the future and you've got to include us in these discussions. And I agree.
And you're involved in city government. How do the ideas discussed at a meeting like this get put into practice then?
Well, in my instance, I'm going back to the city of Roanoke Park. We're updating our zoning ordinance. I was hearing from Andres Duani here about a new way of looking at transects across cities where you could actually have a set of standards for the edge of your community, for the central part of your community, for the part outside your urban growth boundaries where it's rural. I got some very good ideas there. We already have a youth leadership contact with our city council, but it reminded me that we need to go back and further involve the younger people in our community in our decision-making process. And then I think there's a number of contacts that I made with the California transportation people, for example, talking about possible planning monies that are available. Things like that. So there was a series of different levels. There were some individuals I want to contact. There's some a philosophical direction that I'd like to explore further. But then there's some very practical things that I think I can take back as we implement our general plan in the city of Roanoke Park for the next 20 years of growth in our city.
We're in San Diego talking with James Corliss, who's director of the California office of the Service Transportation Policy Project. What's STPP and what does the California office do?
STPP is kind of a mouthful, but we are a nonprofit national research and advocacy organization. We want to promote more walkable, more livable communities. The California office is really trying to advance a lot of these ideas on the ground here in California so that we can make national models so the rest of the country can follow.
What are some of the things you've been able to accomplish in the California legislature?
We've actually had remarkable success. Here we are in the land of the freeway, and where we have the so-called love affair with the automobile. Yet pedestrian safety has absolutely taken off in California as a major, major issue. We've had 3 bills in the last 3 years that have all been signed by a very cautious governor. We now have, I think, up to 12 local pedestrian advocacy groups around California, where 5 years ago there were none. So there is a groundswell of support, and that started, unbelievably, in Los Angeles. There was a group called Los Angeles Walks, saying that actually a lot of people walk in Los Angeles. It's a very vibrant, very immigrant, very low-income community, and people come here with the culture that they've had from their countries, whether it's South America, whether it's Asia or Africa, and they're walking, they're rebuilding and remaking urban spaces, and they need to walk places. It's a very alive, vibrant community, LA, yet the streets are very dangerous. So we have seen a groundswell of support, and we've capitalized on that with some innovative state legislation.
And what were those 3 bills you mentioned?
So I think the biggest bill of all for us, which I think was a great victory, was the Safe Routes to School bill. And Safe Routes to School, what we did there was we really took kids and the walk to school as kind of the banner of what's wrong with our country and what's wrong with the communities that we're designing. Kids really no longer walk to school. If they do, it's very dangerous, it's very far away. We took that issue and we said, this is ridiculous. Not only is this a health problem, a safety problem, but it's also a traffic problem. 25% of the morning and afternoon commute and the congestion is coming from parents driving their kids to school. So we did a bill in the legislature 3 years ago. We took $20 million of transportation money and we put that towards Safe Routes to School. Safer walking and bicycling routes to school, crosswalks, sidewalks, traffic calming, bike trails, walking trails, getting schools more accessible and the routes to school more friendly for kids walking and riding their bikes.
What did it take to get that bill passed?
It took a lot. When we first introduced the bill, and it was a transportation bill, we had all the transportation agencies oppose us. They said, this is crazy. We're a transportation agency. We build highways. We don't do safe routes to school, whatever that is. So they all opposed us. A lot of people jumped on board with them, but we at the same time had an amazing coalition, PTA organizations. We had the Emergency Nurses Association. The nurses and the doctors came out in support of us because they know that in California, the most dangerous thing a kid can do is get out and walk on their own 2 feet. That is the leading cause of death for children. So we have statistics in our favor. We built a coalition. that eventually included a lot of local cities. It included the emergency nurses, it included the PTAs and the school districts who all desperately want this. And we put together a fabulous coalition, and we went at the transportation folks and we beat them at their game. And the bill got through the legislature. The governor signed the bill on Walk a Child to School Day, October the 6th, 1999. And we now have 10 other states following our lead in California, introducing similar legislation. So safe routes to school and pedestrian safety is not only a health and safety issue, it's a transportation issue. We're taking transportation money, and we're actually millions of dollars, $20 million a year, and we're putting it towards infrastructure projects and community revitalization and improvement projects, and we're getting neighbors and PTAs and school children involved in designing those projects, and it's a very, very exciting program.
Came up for renewal after 2 years. Was it a little easier the second time around?
Yeah, it was a 2-year pilot project, and what was funny was the second time around, the first time we had all this opposition, the second time we had zero opposition. We had nobody oppose the bill. And so apparently it's become a real apple pie thing. I think that always happens when the new idea comes out. Status quo wants to oppose the new thinking. We were able to win that in '99. Last year, for the reauthorization of the bill, we had every transportation agency support the bill. And I even got a letter from one of our most vocal opponents 3 years ago that said, dear STPP, for a long time now, we've supported the concept of safe routes to school, and we even supported the bill 2 years ago, which wasn't true, but we didn't say anything, we didn't care about that. The fact of the matter is, safe routes to school is now mainstream in California. The governor signed the bill on Walk a Child to School Day last year, and he'll probably do an event this year. We've got press events, we've got people falling all over themselves to take credit for this program, which is fine. We want that to happen. We want this to be popular. We want everybody to understand the value of safe routes to school.
On the federal level, the big transportation bill is going to be coming up in a couple of years. Well, what's that look on that?
Yeah, very interesting history here. Here's the federal transportation bill that Eisenhower first passed in the 1950s. It built the interstate highway system. When we come to the federal transportation bill in Congress next year, and that's real important for all your viewers to understand that all your senators and all your representatives are going to vote on this thing, we want to create a pot of money, a big pot of money, small in the transportation world, but big for us, specifically for safe routes to school all over America. We want this to be in every neighborhood, in every community, and in every school in the country to have kids, again, walking and biking to school. So it's going to be called the T21 reauthorization next year, 2003. Every member of Congress will vote on this. Please write letters. And everybody out there watching, please contact your member of Congress and tell them you want a very large sum of money to go to safe routes to school the next time around. And we're hopeful that we're going to be victorious.
We're in San Diego, California, talking with Andy Hamilton, who's Vice Chair of Walk San Diego. What is Walk San Diego?
We're a pedestrian advocacy organization formed in 1998. We advocate for better walking conditions throughout San Diego County.
What are some of the problems that pedestrians face here?
Largely auto-oriented streets, and you can see pedestrians getting hit at a high rate in San Diego compared to the rest of the nation, actually. We're about number 2 behind New York City. So we have a long way to go to calm our streets here, get traffic to move slower through neighborhoods, redesign the street itself to be more pedestrian friendly, more places for people to cross so they aren't forced to jaywalk in front of traffic. We just have an awful lot of ways to go to improve things.
What sort of cooperation have you had with the city or the county? What have you been able to do jointly with them?
The city of San Diego is right now, with our help, redesigning their street design manual, which means their Bible of how to build a street is changing drastically from what it's been in the past. And they invited Walk San Diego in to help them do that and asked us to bring whoever we wanted to help. And the city council in this city is very much behind their efforts because it's part of a larger idea of having every neighborhood in the city be a walkable village. That way we can serve the transportation needs better by getting transit service to each of those villages, and people will be able to come, park their vehicle, and then walk around to meet most of the needs that they have. So this is an idea that the city has been putting out the last couple of years, and the walkability part of it is kind of the last little piece to make it really work. So that's why they're redesigning their street design manual. The county, on the other hand, we have a large part of the county that's unincorporated, and the county engineers handle traffic in those areas, those largely rural. They've asked us to help them design traffic calming devices to apply in those places. And so we've been going around with them, making suggestions. We've suggested some consultants that they have gone out and then hired to get really professional help to do some of that traffic calming work. And so they're really getting on board too.
And how would you compare the intersection behind us with the one that's just a block away from here?
This intersection is very unique in the city of San Diego in that bulb outs, certain kinds of textured pavement were used, different colors were used here to really draw attention to the pedestrians. This is a law school area, and when this intersection fills up with students, the drivers really recognize that this is a place for pedestrians. They slow down. They don't just come jamming through here. 1 block away is an exit ramp off of I-5, the major freeway into downtown, and the cars there behave very, very differently. But when they get to this intersection, they totally change, and I'm not sure they're even aware of why they do that. But the fact that the street is constricted, that there's, the pavement markings giving them the signals that, hey, this is not a place for drivers, this is a place for everyone, then they behave differently.
What would you like to see Walk San Diego accomplish over the next 5 years or 10 years?
We would like to go out of business in 10 years. We would like each of the cities to have street design standards and retrofitting standards to make streets accessible to the disabled community, make them safe for pedestrians, have children be able to walk to school, have people respect the needs of bicyclists as they drive. And these are things that are all possible through the design of the street itself. You don't have to have a big cultural change, get everybody to behave differently. All you have to do is send them the right signal through the design of the street. So as we work with developers to create developments that incorporate those kinds of streets, and we work with the cities to retrofit existing streets, we think that the entire region can become pedestrian friendly, and that's our big goal.
Last year, I interviewed Susie Stephens of the Thunderhead Alliance on this program. On March 21st of this year, Susie was struck by a bus and killed while crossing the street in St. Louis. I first met Susie at the Pro Bike Pro Walk conference in Santa Barbara in 1998. Here's her presentation from that conference.
I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. And you can replace that. If you're doing a trail, I'm not gonna let no NIMBYs turn me around. If you have some problem, city council person, ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on biking. I'm gonna build a brand new world. So we're gonna try that. You ready? Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. around a campfire right outside of Jackson Hole, Wyoming 2 summers ago at the first gathering of what has now become the Thunderhead Alliance. The Bicycle Federation of America very generously sponsored several training sessions for us, that first one 2 years ago. Who is the we? Who is the Thunderhead Alliance? The Thunderhead Alliance is the Bicycle Coalition of Maine, Mass Bike of Massachusetts, the Bicycle Coalition of the Delaware Valley, Bicycle Colorado, the Bicycle Federation of Wisconsin, the Bicycle Transportation Alliance in Oregon, the California Bicycle Coalition, the Chicagoland Bicycle Federation, the Connecticut Bicycle Coalition, the Florida Bicycle Association, Friends of Pathways in Jackson, Wyoming, the League of Illinois Bicyclists, the League of Michigan Bicyclists, the Bicycle Alliance of Washington, the Ohio Bicycle Federation, the Palmetto Cycling Coalition in South Carolina, the San Francisco Bicycle Coalition, the Santa Barbara Bicycle Coalition, the Texas Bicycle Coalition, the Transportation Alternatives in New York City, the Virginia Bicycling Federation, Indiana Bicycle Coalition, Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition, People's Advocacy for Trails Hawaii, Hawaii Bicycle League, Atlantic Bicycle Coalition, Metro Bike in St. Louis, Kentucky Bicycle Coalition, Marin County Bicycle Coalition, and the Los Angeles Bicycle Coalition. Together, we did a little bit of singing around campfires. We did a lot of advocacy training and got together 2 summers in a row and realized a few things. Realized the most important thing was that we have power, that we represent political power. At the time we first met, the national organizations were getting together to create this incredible movement, the Bikes Belong Coalition, to pass a bicycle-friendly iced tea legislation. And it didn't take us long to realize that grassroots advocacy was going to be a huge part of that and that we were the delivery system for that grassroots power, and worked very effectively with the national organizations to make that happen. Got together again and realized that we needed to formalize our ragtag band of revolutionaries out in the streets. Now, who are these people? I read the names of these people and these groups very, very dramatically. We had one group at our event prior to this one who has 6 members. Doubled her membership, actually, I think, while she was there, and got some more members from out of state. We have volunteers who are working. We have staff that's underpaid that's working with very small resources. We have also some well-oiled machines who have gained the respect of the communities that they're living in, to the extent that, you know, the mayor's office calls whenever they want to talk about bicycle stuff because they are perceived as the experts in their community. We have a group of people who are, with truly limited resources, accomplishing enormous, incredible tasks around the country. And when we kept coming back together, we started seeing groups that had been there 2 years ago that had a few members and a brand new executive director who doubled their membership, who were being able to put up a list of things they'd accomplished. We built this trail. We got these bicycle lanes put in. We added this policy to our jurisdiction's planning that's going to make it easier for people to bicycle in our community. So we realized that we wanted to formalize and become an association of professional advocacy organizations. Now, we're not an association of planners. We're not a national membership organization. What we are is an association of nonprofit, state, local, metropolitan area bicycle advocacy organizations. In fact, I'm going to read you our mission statement. The mission of the Thunderhead Alliance is to promote the increased use of bicycling for healthier communities and sustainable transportation by building the capacity of state and local organizations to affect public policy, funding decisions, and marketing bicycling to the public. And by capacity, we mean funding, membership, and political and organizational savvy. Now, and we have several more grassroots advocacy workshops happening this afternoon, and we had one this morning on the Bicycle Alliance, so you'll have many more opportunities to get a lot more detail about how the Alliance is working and how your organization can be involved, and how, if you're not with an organization, the organizations that are in your community can help you do your job better. I do want to, names of organizations had a theme already, so I do want to talk a little bit about the name, the Thunderhead Alliance. Obviously, we received our name from the location of our first 2 gatherings at the Thunderhead Ranch in Wyoming. But I'm going to use the words of some of my colleagues from earlier this week. You'll notice the beautiful hills that surround Santa Barbara, these big mountains that are out there. And it would be our perception that they are just mighty and strong and cannot be brought down, these big, beautiful mountains. But in fact, they're very fragile. And we've seen that a rainstorm can wash away the hills into the ocean, and that drops of rain collectively can, in fact, move mountains. So they may be seen as strong, but are perceived as strong, but in fact they're fragile. And we believe that the environment that we've created that puts cars first and puts bicyclists and pedestrians last is equally fragile. That we can also bring down that perception, that we can change that paradigm, and that it's going to be that one drop at a time, the same way. And so Thunderhead to us represented this just wonderful illusion of what that is, that we are in fact, and I'll read you again from our founding documents, a Thunderhead was seen as a fitting metaphor for the building energy and the building power that the bicycle movement is gathering to impact communities and to increase our ability to bicycle in communities. I'm not even going to take the full 10 minutes, but maybe we can try to do this little thing I've taught you again. Is everybody ready for this? We might add a couple of verses. If anybody's got anything really good, if somebody's really bugging you and you want to add them in there, we'll send that off there. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on a biking, keep on a walking. Oops, gonna build a brand new world. Anybody problems? Ain't gonna let no NIMBYs turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no NIMBYs turn me around. I'm gonna keep on a walking, keep on a biking, gonna build a brand new world.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.